Imagine waking up one day, only to discover that you become the very creature your entire tribe fears. In a valley where animals have been separated for generations, one young puku named Ollie accidentally triggers an ancient magic that changes his entire world. But what starts as a simple transformation soon uncovers a terrifying secret, because the harmless fish Ollie meets along the way may actually be the monster responsible for destroying the valley. And now, to save everyone he loves, Ollie must become something he never imagined possible. Stay right there, because this story gets completely wild. A group of otter, sloth-like creatures called puku lives in a flooded valley populated by animal-plant hybrids. An inventive young puku named Ollie is curious about the other creatures living in the valley, despite the warnings of his parents and his grandmother, who tells Ollie a story about how the creatures of the valley used to live in harmony, thanks to large elephant-like creatures called Zo, who gave them magical pods that enabled them to change forms and understand each other better. However, a tree wolf who terrorized the valley and resented the peace that Zo brought, stole a pod to become the fire wolf. He then killed four Zos and caused a forest fire that resulted in a rock slide, creating a large dam that blocked the river, flooding the valley and preventing the surviving Zo from returning. The different species have not interacted with one another since. During a celebration of a bountiful harvest, Ollie meets a bird-like Javan chick and shows her how to get food on the island. However, the other Javans storm Puku Island and take over the food sources. Years later, the Puku are certain that they will starve as their emergency food storage runs low, and Ollie struggles to make amends. He ends up attempting to fix his mistake by using reflective glass shards to make the Javans leave the harvest grounds. However, one Javan attacks Ollie, and he falls into a hole where he inadvertently lands on a magical pod while trying to escape, and is transformed into a Javan. He is then chased off the island by his tribe and falls into the river. Ollie is soon rescued by the Javan who attacked him earlier, named Ivy alongside her sisters Violet and Lily. Ollie soon meets an amiable but absent-minded fish named Boogle, who informs him of a pod on a nearby dead Zo. He tries to get to it, but Ivy interferes and is turned into a puku. Boogle then tells them of another pod by the Great Waterfall. As the duo journey there, they encounter various creatures of the valley and learn of each species' strengths. During the journey, Ollie learns from Ivy that she only brought her flock to the island because the food sources at her own home, Javan Rock, were running low, and several members of her flock had already died of starvation, including her parents. They make it to the pod, promising Boogle to bring it to him to change into a different creature, due to him being the only one of his kind. However, when they reach the pod, Ollie hesitates about trusting Ivy, and the two are ambushed by a pack of tree wolves, leading them to slip and fall onto the pod, both transforming into Boogle fish. Boogle says he knows where to find more pods, and Ollie and Ivy decide to put their differences aside. At a waterfall, Ollie and Ivy find the pods and transform back to their original forms. When they allow Boogle to use the pods, he reveals that he is the firewolf who divided the valley years ago due to his own pain of being rejected by his pack and ostracized by the other animal species, and was transformed by the Zo into a fish to stop him. The firewolf then destroys the remaining pods and brutally attacks Ivy, leaving her unconscious. Ollie manages to scale Javan Rock with Ivy in tow, saving her life. A recovered Ivy and the other creatures all take refuge on Puku Island as the firewolf attacks the valley. Ollie convinces his father, Kalu, to trust the other creatures despite their differences. As the firewolf approaches the island, a desperate Ollie goes to the hole he fell into earlier, which contains a dead Zo. The Zo's spirit sends Ollie a pod, which he uses to turn into a Zo himself. Using his newfound abilities, he battles and subdues the firewolf and dismantles the dam, washing them both away. As Ollie's friends and family mourn him, the Zo who left the valley years ago come back and reveal that Ollie is alive and has been returned to Puku form by them. With the firewolf gone, the valley becomes peaceful once more, as both the Puku and Javans now reconnect and work with each other, including the Zo and the other creatures.